Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Track Talk, your connection coast to coast and beyond in all the latest news, developments, stake race analysis, and interviews inside the world of thoroughbred horse racing. From California to New York, Florida, and Kentucky, we have you covered. It's post time, live from San Diego. It's Track Talk. And we welcome you on a Sunday morning. Welcome to the program, and hope you're doing great on a beautiful Sunday morning. Live from America's finest city, we are live in San Diego from the WS Radio Network. I'm Felix Taverna. Tommy D will be joining momentarily, but just some final thoughts on the Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday. Friday was Juvenile Day up there at Santa Anita, and a record handle. Just a great day of racing. I thought we saw the future stars of racing all coming together at one location, and of course that location is Santa Anita, which had their best suit on, ready to welcome folks from all over the world to their venue for a Friday and Saturday event known as Breeders' Cup 35. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to see some of the greatest horses that are running. And boy, when you go race by race, you think about the memories, all the excitement that's generated, and all the moving forward of developing as a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and coming together in a 12-race card yesterday that was marred by just an extremely unfortunate incident with Mongolian Groom injuring himself and then had to be euthanized. And I don't know what more I could possibly say, because what I say is really only one man's opinion. But I could also say that the feelings that I might have witnessed are the feelings that you might have as well out there. And it's the ugliest part of our game. And the analogy of what took place in the final race last night at Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup Classic would be compared to a perfect game being broke up in the 9th inning. Because here, the Breeders' Cup having 10 races on Friday, 12 races yesterday, 21 races in the book, and everything was perfect until the last 200 yards of the Classic. I don't know if somehow the game is cursed or what bad luck we are running into, but I can tell you one thing, and I was on track firsthand, and I can say this, that event Friday and Saturday was near perfect. And all the changes in the reform seem to be working. And it might be jumping through hoops for a lot of connections, but safety is job one in this game right now more than ever before, because more politicians are trying to eliminate the game of thoroughbred horse racing. And this morning, I feel for Mongolian Groom, the connections. I feel for the Breeders' Cup, who put on a marvelous event. Marvelous. I feel for Santa Anita. I feel for California racing. And I feel for the game itself, because when you're 99.9 there of having a perfect game and a perfect situation, and then have this strike, it pops the balloon immediately. Tommy D joining us from Anaheim. He was there Friday and Saturday, and it's the ugliest part of our game. And quite truthfully, Tommy D, we've been talking about this the entire year.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Got the Breeders' Cup hangover, but yeah, Felix, unfortunately, Mongolian Groom at the end of the Breeders' Cup was a tragedy to the event. Like you said, it was lights out, great event. I mean, both Friday and Saturday, being part of the Future Stars Day on Friday, I thought it was beautiful. The track was nice. It was playing mostly to speed or right off the pace, but everything went well. Went into the next day, which is Saturday, which yesterday, the big day, and everything went to par until the last race. And me personally, I didn't even notice until after because I was on Vino Rosso. I gave out Vino Rosso on here and on the Hip Horse YouTube channel, so I was cheering for Vino Rosso, so I didn't even notice, but I was cheering hard for Vino Rosso. I was excited. I was screaming, but then as soon as I saw that happen, I definitely, my feelings kind of dropped. I wasn't so happy anymore. So I definitely know a lot of people there felt that, and it was a unfortunate thing to happen. But in horse racing, it does happen. I hate to say it, just like athletes get hurt, horses get hurt, and unfortunately, they're animals that can't take some of these injuries, so they do have to euthanize them. And it's a bad, sad event. And like you said, it's the worst possible thing that could happen in our industry and on a big day. But there was a lot of highlights yesterday and Friday. We saw some stars come out. It was a great event overall. Definitely want to look at the positives because, there's definitely a lot of positives, to overlook that one negative.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they'll take the one negative and ruin and base the whole party on that, and that's a travesty, and it's injustice, any kind of non-justice for the Breeders' Cup who came out here. Remember now, they kept the Breeders' Cup in California at Santa Anita, and many thought that it should have been moved, but no, Craig Fravel, the CEO and president of the Breeders' Cup, came on this radio program last weekend and said, we needed to support. And boy, did we support this event. Let me give you some of the fine factors that might have dropped through the crack. 41,000 on track on Friday, 61,000 on track yesterday, 55 million wagered on Friday. The figures aren't in on yesterday, but it has to be a balloon. It has to be enormous because there was a feel and a vibe there yesterday unlike any racing day since the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar in 2017. Even opening day at Del Mar couldn't compare to what the vibe was yesterday. And we were all around it. Your mom and dad was there with some friends. We got a chance to see Tommy D, and I got a chance to see some old-time friends. We got to hang out. We were treated royally by the Breeders' Cup. They have been a big part of our radio development, and I feel extremely sad for Justin McDonald and Craig Fravel, Peter Rotundo, who worked very hard on bringing the Breeders' Cup and doing whatever they could to overcome all the negativity that was already a part of the landscape. So therefore, here we are with the two biggest days of racing. And yesterday, you talk about some performances that were over the top. Are you kidding me? I mean, when you go back and you look at the performances that were turned in and tuned up by some of these equines, let's start with the Philly Mare and Sprint. Brad Cox, Kofifi, with Joel Rosario, Come Dancing, Bellafina, Boy, I'll tell you what, that was a great way to kick off the Grade 1 Philly and Mare Sprint. Just incredible. Won by Joel Rosario. All right, so we turn the page. We go to the turf sprint. And Belvoir Bay. Tommy D, right prior to those gates opening, you shared with me that you liked number 12. Peter Miller goes 1-2 in that race. Belvoir Bay and Ohm. Matter of fact, Ohm looked like Jimmy Brown or Jerome Bettis or Walter Payton when he walked by. I had the privilege to be outside the paddock area. I watched all these horses go on by. Ohm was a very, very nice-looking runner. And once again, Peter Miller goes 1-2 in the turf sprint. And so we move forward now to the dirt mile. Omaha Beach, giant expectations. Who wins this race? None other than Irad Ortiz Jr., spun the run, goes wire to win the $1 million guaranteed dirt mile. What a terrific race that was. We go to the Filly and Mare Turf, Grade 1, $2 million guaranteed for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. Iredessa, coming from the Joseph O'Brien barn, 8-1, could be the youngest trainer ever to win a Breeders' Cup. Ridden by Wayne Lorden. Nice ride there. That runner was extremely on the muscle when he won by. At one time, he was 16 to 18 to 1. I can't remember what he returned, but it was double digits. I'm almost sure of that. And then we go to the sprint. What about the sprint? Matoli and Chancelot. Did they throw down? I mean, they threw down. Imperial Hint was scratched. Matoli, you've been on Matoli, Tommy D, for a long period of time. Steve Asmussen, what a great training job there. Chancelot coming from the George Navarro barn, ridden by Jose Ortiz. And boy, let me tell you, that was one big race. We go to the Breeders' Cup Mile, and the winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile, probably one of the best performances of the day, came from Uni, trained by Chad Brown and ridden by Joel Rosario. Joe had a nice little day yesterday. Not as nice as Irad Ortiz. I'd rather be in Irad Ortiz's barn. Midnight Basou looked like the clear choice favorite. Blue Prize with Ignacio Correas IV and Joey Bravo. Jersey Joe Bravo will win the distaff. We move to the horse of the year, without any question, will be Bricks and Mortar. He made me cry because I had United, and United was 50-1, ridden by Flavian Pratt. Richard Mandela trained. Still crying over that one. The Breeders' Cup Classic, Vino Rosso looked tremendous walking by. He looked even more tremendous winning Tommy D. Tommy D, he made that move, and he just blew that field apart, did he not?
Oh, yeah, what a spectacular ride aboard Vino Rosso. That's Irad Ortiz Jr., Todd Pletcher, the trainer here. They got it done, paid $11.20, but he couldn't ask for a better ride, kept him right in the perfect position. He didn't want to be inside. I read in the transcripts. He said he was in the perfect spot. And when he asked the horse to go, Vino Rosso had that move and, got right past McKenzie, and I was all jacked up. But unbelievable. Irad Ortiz Jr. coming in and putting on quite a bit of a performance there, closing out a double there to end the day at Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, $11 million in purses. I think he won yesterday. That's just winning. I don't know if he ran second or third, he gets 10, 12, 15% for that purse prize. I mean, that's what the owners get. So, if you figure out that he won $11 million in purses, he gets 60%, or those connections get 60% of that. That's $6 million. So his 10% of that is 600,000, and the agent gets 150,000. Should have been an agent. Larry Zapp joining us from Santa Anita on the post-game broadcast of Track Talk after the 35th running of the Breeders' Cup. Zapper, how you doing, my man?
I've got mixed feelings, Felix, and good morning, everyone. And, it's funny, being an agent, I'm starting to think I should have been an agent too, Felix. I'm a bloodstock agent, but having the right jockey is a continual stream of money. Ask Eric Lawson, ask whoever I read Ortiz agent is. But, on the positive front, beautiful Santa Anita Park with beautiful weather, hosted 2 beautiful days of racing. Everything was going and did go splendidly right to the very end, and I know you probably started the show with it. But we're not done. If we're going to survive, not just in California, but in our industry, horse racing, nationally, internationally, we're going to have to make some more rules. I have no problem with the talent and determination of Abel Cedillo, but he was reckless yesterday. He went into the far turn with a horse that got turned sideways by a couple other horses. And when they straightened for home, he had 0 horse left. These jockeys need to understand that 0 horse left means protect that horse. And he went right-hand crack. And now the media was out here this morning at Santa Anita. We're all nervous about this and that at Santa Anita. Breeders' Cup has a scar, and they shouldn't have a scar. They hosted 2 beautiful freaking days of racing because one jockey did not follow a proper procedural situation. Maybe we need to send them all to school, get rid of the whip, whatever it needs. But this just didn't need to happen. This horse was turned sideways, Felix, and he went right-hand stick, and this horse broke down. And that's all the media are going to talk about, the fake media, whatever media they are. So I'm a little mad about that. But it was 2 amazing days of racing. We saw some command performances. You went over all of them beautifully. A guy like Irad Ortiz. Look at Jose Ortiz on Giant Expectations. He wasn't handling the situation, and he wrapped up on him. Got him to the wires. There has to be more reform, Felix, going forward. But 2 amazing days, and my hat's off to the Breeders' Cup, Santa Anita Park. They did everything right. There's all these checks and balances, and everything went right from the perspective of taking care of these horses properly. But look where we're at this morning because one jockey was a little irresponsible.
And an unfortunate situation. I agree. I agree everything that you said. The analogy would be that a perfect game was broken up in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs and the count 3-2. And it gives, what I feel, because I know behind the scenes, I know what the Breeders' Cup brought to the table. And they were attending to detail like none other. And I feel for the Justin McDonalds and the Craig Fravels and the Peter Rotundos and everybody that's affiliated with the Breeders' Cup. It's like having this gracious party where everybody's feasting on champagne and caviar and food and fruits and love and friendships. And just a great party. Then all of a sudden, somebody starts a big brawl and disrupts the whole party. And you go away believing, wow, the party was great, but man, I don't like the way it ended. And it ended at the very end. And we were like 200 yards away from a perfect game. And now, I drove home late last night, and I got up this morning, and I'm dragging, and my heart's heavy because, I know how much the sport means to you, Tommy D, and anybody else listening to the radio program. And this idiot on a local news channel starts talking about the breakdown of Mongolian Groom. And I figured, this is all they're going to report. They're not going to report on the greatness that the Breeders' Cup delivered. 41,000 on Friday, 61,000 yesterday. Don't even talk about the handle. I talked about it already. On Friday was 55 million, a record. Yesterday, I don't know, it could have been any number. But I want to ask you, Zapper, I want to ask you about something that was brought to my attention. And let me just go. Was there reasons why there were 4 or 5 program scratches of these races? Did the vets vet them out and declare them that they weren't ready to run? Was this the case?
It was a combination. A couple of the horses were scratched. I believe Imperial Hint had a foot issue, and I think his connection scratched him. Just that be a great example of one of the ones I know about. But, they went over these horses very well. More than, when I talk about procedures and precautions, they were taken. There's a lot of talk about Mongolian Groom that a Blood Horse article came out a week before, and the trainer, Ingbat, wasn't happy with his work because it was a little slower. But believe you me, they went over him. Maybe he wasn't at his very best. Maybe he was ready to have what we call that proverbial bounce off such a big effort in the race. In the race he won, the Awesome Again. But for the most part, I believe most of the scratches were by the connections. For example, Maxfield earlier in the week, he was scratched by his own. When that horse galloped that last morning at Santa Anita, we saw a bunch of the Darley people all down by him, and they announced later, like an hour later, that they're scratching him because something's not right in his one foot, and they found a foot abscess. So for the most part, the connections scratched their own horses, but all these horses got looked over, and they were walking around the backside the last couple of mornings, making sure we were going to have, a clean slate and a perfect situation to have a safe Breeders' Cup. And we almost made it, like you said, it was more like 400 yards. But these jockeys need to learn, especially the young, aggressive jockeys.
Yep.
The Mike Smiths of the world and the Ortiz brothers and Castellano and Velasquez, they understand. They know what they have underneath them. But these other guys, they're trying to make a name for themselves. So I'm not trying to pick on Sedillo because he's a fine rider. He's been called the next Joel Rosario by Doug O'Neill, but he was a little careless, and we need to instruct. And if we need to just take away the whip, I'm okay with that, because when you whack a horse right-hand stick, turning for home, a horse that's already noticeably tired, and he breaks down, it doesn't look good, Felix.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. And the reforms, I mean, what more can you do? I mean, you're doing is, you got to go through 3 layers of getting your horse vetted. I mean, the reforms are in place, and it's great for the sport. And you don't one's too many. I mean, especially the last race on national TV, and what this does is this mars the whole entire Breeders' Cup per the fake media's perception, not knowing what went in and what great races without any mishaps that we had. Now, Dennis's moment bobbled at the break in the race that he ran into, but that was minor compared to what happened to Mongolian Groom. So when I look back and I think, and I talked with Wade, the president of the WS Radio Network, prior to going on the air this morning, and I said, I really feel it's like a curse, it's unbelievable. Like I'm trying to figure it out. Like how do you go 21, 22 races and just don't have any problems at all? And then the last race of the day and the most important race, the $6 million race, there's an incident that they're going to take and they're going to use that front-running lead story bit. I'm very proud of the Breeders' Cup. They've been very, very supportive of this radio program, and you know what? I want to. We started, a month ago with our 10,000 people to get them up there. I want to tell you how many people that I saw up there from San Diego. Really proud of it. I had to see at least 20 million if I didn't see one. There were more people that I ran out to San Diego that supported this event and that I was so proud of. I mean, there was a party of 12 up there that came from Palomar Limousine. And Michael and Susie just brought their whole group up, and they had the big bus, and they had 12 people. I mean, and it was such a perfect venue. It was perfect weather. Frank Miramonte was off the charts with his calls. I mean, you talk about excitement. When you smell the horse go by you, like a brick and mortar or an Eddie Haskell, I still look at Ohm and think, man, this Ohm dude was like a real champion. When you see the connections in the jockeys, Johnny V, the Ortiz brothers, Flavian Pratt, Luis Saez, and then you see Chad Brown and Christophe Clement, and these are the guys that are the basics, basic superstars. We will take a break. Can we go to a break and we'll reload? We'll come back here on Track Talk. Breeders' Cup, I gave it an A+, a 101.5. Hey, look, one bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch. Hi, this is Felix Taverna, and I'm here to share with you a great place to begin your day, and that is the Broken Yoke Cafe. 15 San Diego locations to serve you. Downtown, Mission Valley, Bonita, East Lake, San Diego State, Point Loma, Mira Mesa, Del Mar, La Costa, Escondido, Oceanside, San Marcos, and Rancho San Diego. Benedict's, omelets, French toast, crepes, pancakes and waffles, sandwiches, wraps, burgers, soups, and salads. Start your day at the Broken Yoke Cafe.
Chris Murch, Captain Email here, former owner of WS Radio, back in studios with 21 tips to increase sales. And they're real easy to get. Just whip out that smartphone, even that phone that still does texting, and text 21 tips to 22828. That's 21 tips to 22828. 21 tips, no space, to 22828, and you'll be getting 2 tips a day for the next 2 weeks.
The most trusted information provider in horse racing is now the leading logic in sports handicapping. The daily racing form has launched DRF Sports. Visit sports.drf.com to learn more and get the edge you need to win big. Access their exclusive database of trends and powerful angles for just $5 per week. And if you use promo code PENNY, you'll get your first week for just 1 cent. Visit sports.drf.com today. When you talk about San Diego legends, you got to talk about Big John at Tip Top Meats, a European delicatessen unlike anything in San Diego. You know, it's located in Carlsbad, and traditionally, it's been a fan favorite for many. Big John does it right. With the holiday season just around the corner, it's your best bet. Big John, Tip Top Meats, and top shelf fish. I mean, that's a daily double. You've been there, you know, it's legendary.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com. Have you tried DRF Formulator PPs at drf.com? Take your handicapping to the next level with premium features not found in DRF Classic PPs, including one-click access to complete race charts, full-screen video replays with both standard and head-on views, add your notes for a card, horse, or trip, and access from any device. View Timeform US pace figures, get customized printing options, and so much more. Try DRF Formulator PPs today at drf.com/PPs.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Track Talk, your connection coast to coast and beyond in all the latest news, developments, stake race analysis, and interviews inside the world of thoroughbred horse racing. From California to New York, Florida, and Kentucky, we have you covered. It's post time, live from San Diego. It's Track Talk. All right, we are at the half-mile pull on a Sunday, and we welcome you no matter where you are. Tommy D is heading on down the road back to San Diego. Larry Zapp is at Santa Anita. By the way, closing day at Santa Anita, mandatory payout in that pick six, a 20-cent pick six, so it's a mandatory payout. And Zapper, did you do any handicapping for today, or are you like hanging over from the Breeders' Cup?
There's no doubt, Felix, I've got a bit of a Breeders' Cup hangover, but there is a horse at Santa Anita I do want to talk about if you'll allow me.
Go right ahead.
Race 8 is the Gold Dakota Stakes, and it's a grade 2. No doubt Neil Drysdale's filly Toinette's the horse to beat, but there's a filly who basically has caught my eye since she's been here. She galloped up a storm since she's been here, and she tried grass for the first time last time and showed she had an affinity for it. So number 2 in race number 8, the Gold Dakota, Coach Rock, 5-1 morning line. I think she's sitting on go. You got to take notice when Dale Romans brings an extra horse to Southern California to run the 5-day after the Breeders' Cup. I'm sure he'll stick around for that. Obviously, things didn't go his way with Dennis's Moment, but he'll fight another fight, hopefully, sooner than later. But Coach Rock, she comes in with solid credentials. She was a 3-year-old graded stakes winner on dirt, but they put this Daughter of Oxbow on turf last time in Kentucky, and she sure handled it well. And she's owned by Rick Pitino, a guy named Roddy Valente, who I spoke to this morning. The fact that Valente was still around, sometimes you handicap the humans. You know what I'm saying? You see the human connection stick around, plus the horses look good. Let's just say there's good value here. Number 2, Coach Rock in the Gold Dakota, 5-1.
I'm handicapping Toby Terrell because he's looking good. Toby Terrell joins us live from his perch at Santa Anita. Double T, how are you, my friend?
Felix, I've never felt better, and there's no exaggeration there. We climaxed 2 championship days on a business note that was second to none, literally, with record-shattering numbers where it counts on the bottom line. And since I've gotten older and just kind of hopefully a little bit wiser and a little bit more calm, collective, I realize in showing up here to Santa Anita every day that there's just no better place anywhere on this great plain that we live on to have racing than Santa Anita. And climaxing the Breeders' Cup Classic yesterday, I did a lot of seminars, a lot of stuff one-on-one with people, and I've never taken such a strong stance on a horse as I did Vino Rosso. So to have that horse come through like that with a championship win was just kind of like, it just doesn't get any better. I'm hoping to keep my optimism, ambition, and everything else alive because we need to now. Here in California.
Yeah, Toe. It's like a good bottle of wine, baby. I was right there. I don't know if you've heard any portion of the show, or Zap might have not have been on, but I was tucked in the same area, which was an isolated area, a special quote unquote VIP area, which I appreciate that and never take it for granted. But I can remember one horse walking by, and right in front of me, he was taking a dump, and I could smell it. I mean, that's how the smells were. I was so close. And I have never, ever seen the horse that really stood out was from Peter Miller's barn called Ohm. When this horse walked by me, I want to tell you, and he ran second at a big number. I mean, this horse was gigantic. I mean, and he looked like an athlete compared to all the other ones. Vino Rosso was another one that just looked the part. And, you know, the betting was McKenzie, Vino Rosso, and Code of Honor. Those were the three prior 15, 20 minutes prior to the Classic as being favored. But I want to get back and I want to reiterate something because I don't know who in the hell's listening to us out there. But I know there's new people listening because I did a heck of a promotion during the 2 days up there promoting WS Radio and where we've been for a long time, you know, and you two guys have been extremely supportive of what I bring to the radio, and you are a big part of it, both you and Zapper and Tommy D, Toby Terrell. And I want to say that Santa Anita, on a 1 to 10 scale in the Breeders' Cup, I'm giving you a 15 because that's how good it was Friday and Saturday. The people were friendly. It was organized. There was security there. The vibe was terrific. The racing was excellent. And I am in utter distraught that we would go 21 and a half races and then have a situation develop like the one developed. And everybody, although they won't talk about the great racing that took place, they'll talk about, oh, yeah, the 40th, 37th, 40th horse that Santa Anita died. You know what? One is too many, as I've always said. But to take away, and Zapper said it best earlier, to take away all the effort that went into making this event what it is, it's no easy event. You're dealing with like hundreds of head cases from different parts of the world that want special things to happen for their horses. They want seating. They want special access. They want this. They want that. Everybody to put this all together. And to have everybody so connected on the day, and then this happened, it's a slap in the face to all the good people that put their effort. So for Nate Newby and that entire Santa Anita gang, Tom Quigley, Frank Marimati, who I mentioned on yesterday's show, that was on Friday, was spotless. Yesterday, he was marvelous. I mean, he was just so right on. Toby Terrell, it's a shame that we end what could have been a real big leapfrog, stepping stone to greater things for California racing. With the breakdown and euthanization of Mongolian Groom. And it hurts that we lost the horse. It hurts for the connections, the ownership, because they were out. The folks from Mongolia were out in their garb and the clothing that they wear. And, you know, and they were, you know, they were a welcome sight, and they were taking pictures with everybody. It's owned by Mongolian Stable. And you know, you can always go backwards and say, oh, yeah, this horse did this horse did that, blah, blah, blah. But it is what it is. But to take anything away from two marvelous days, Friday and Saturday, the Breeders' Cup 35, is really a heavy heart because, you know, you'd think that guys who put a lot of effort, there's a lot of people that put a lot of effort into making this day or these 2 days an event that go behind the scenes. What about the starter, the gate crew? What about all the grooms? What about the hot walkers? What about the pony boys? What about this? What about that? You understand what I'm saying? And you know what, Toby? You're right. we made these reforms, we made these changes, and I'm not going to let this situation, as sad as it is, take away from a great Breeders' Cup 35, Toby Terrell.
Well, there's no time to, Felix. In fact, I believe the sky is the limit for the potential for the business out here, the business side of things. I think we got the proof of that yesterday, to have the numbers that they put up on the board in the face of every time you turn around, seeing Santa Anita's name just smeared in the mud is spectacular. To me, it bodes nothing but hope for the future, because they can't trash it any more than they have. And the people spoke with their money and their presence and everything else to say, you know what, Santa Anita is second to none. And that is really exciting to me. I believe there are many things still to do to tighten up our belts even further to try to get to that perfect situation that we all want to get to. I've got a lot of work, as we all do, Felix, ahead of us, to not waste any time in building up a nucleus and a defense and a mantra for why Santa Anita belongs in the world of horse racing and in the heart of Arcadia, California racing. It's iconic. I've been here now for 50 strong years, since I was 5 years old, and every day gets better for me as I get older, because I appreciate what Santa Anita is. Del Mar is second to none in the summertime. Make no mistake about that. You wouldn't want to be here in the summertime. But there is so much to do now to accentuate what just happened, and it's going to take organization. It's going to take action and organization. We can't sit around and assume and be passive, and we cannot take the cordial, polite approach with these politicians of this state. That is for sure.
Yeah, you're right, Toby. You're 100% right. Hey, look, Friday was an indicator. If this event was going to be successful, they needed to have a strong crowd. 41,000 on track on Friday. Started early. I mean, it got bigger and bigger as the day evolved. Yesterday, first race was at 10:45, I do believe, 10 o'clock, whatever, I don't know, times were just, and it was just easy going. I mean, nothing really big. And then it just blew up and blossomed. And it was 61,000. So did we do our part? Our radio show did our part. This show did our part, because we're supporting California racing. I go down, we go down. But you know what? We got the voice, and we'll continue the voice, and we'll continue to promote. And racing needs this voice. Racing needs Toby Terrell. Racing needs Larry Zapp. Racing needs Tommy D. Racing needs Wade Taylor. Racing needs a whole bunch of organization, which was apparent and which was on the grounds at Santa Anita both Friday and Saturday for an event that I would give a 15 on a 1 to 10 scale. And Mongolian Groom, my heart is heavy as most of your hearts might be. But it's not going to take away from the great job the Breeders' Cup brought to California and kept this event here, because we needed it. And now Barbara Boxer's involved, and Feinstein, and Newsom, and this and that, and who and what. You know what? Had we gotten out of there unscathed, we'd be patting ourselves on the back like we were the greatest thing since sliced bread. But you know what? It's the right direction, and I'm happy to be associated with this game. Toby Terrell, closing day at Santa Anita. Mandatory payout in the pick six. Can you give me a winner off the air that nobody else knows about?
Never, Felix, never. I just got done telling the gentleman up in the Front Runner restaurant, which, by the way, you talk about a vantage point, a view, a spectacle. Just go up to the Front Runner restaurant and just gaze at over the racetrack and right through and over to the mountains, like I just did, and give all the people that work there what I consider to be one of the best things I've had in horse racing since I've been doing this, and that was a horse called Vino Rosso. You talk about doing things to promote worldwide. That's Las Vegas, South Point Hotel and Casino, which I'm very closely aligned with, they are second to none. Michael Gaughan, second to none in Las Vegas, loves the horse racing sport. His wife loves horses, period. They put their money where their mouth is and created a legacy there at the South Point with the best underground horse stalls in America. The best show, horse show, rodeo, you name it, year-round there. The cowboys show up in town every time I'm there, and the cowgirls, and it's a sight. And I took my friend from high school there for the big Friday night seminar. We had the time of our life. He couldn't get over just looking around at the South Point at the beautiful people that showed up there from all walks. And I'm sky high right now, Felix, because I know I'm with the best of the best. You talked about our presence on radio. I've been with you pretty much since day one, back to the day when I wasn't with you when you had to put the coat hanger into the metal tube to get the reception. But I've been with you kind of ever since. And I plan on and hope and pray to keep it that way, because I know that we have what we need to move this forward, and that is invaluable experience and relationships with people that do matter.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, you know. So cut the bullshit out, and I want to tell you that you had me with the cowgirls, okay? You got me right there when you said the cowgirls were there. I'm all this other stuff with underground, you know, shed rows and what have you. I know it's a big equestrian, and Michael Gaughan's been a leader in a lot of different areas going back. You know, I ran into Bruno DiGiulio yesterday, and, you know, if we go back to 94, when I kicked off the Thoroughbred Hotline in Las Vegas, Nevada, if you remember, you and Bruno were, you know, the two guys that were a part of the team, and then then I met Ken Daniels, and I often joke, and you know, our first guest when I left California, went to Vegas to kick off the Thoroughbred Hotline, our first guest on that radio show was a man that was highlighted by the Pollock Report this weekend. And that's none other than our man, veteran Hall of Fame agent, which he's never been recognized as, but he is, Vince DeGregory. And we go back, you know, that's 94, 2004, 2014, almost 25 years, as you said. And Toby, you've been a great friend. Give us some winners today. Let's go. How many races are there, first of all? I'm just trying to catch up as we have a closing day. Do we have 10 races today or just 9? So the pick 6 is a mandatory payout, and then they'll start racing at Del Mar on Friday. So Del Mar's Del Mar's fall meeting gets underway. So let me ask you this. The 6th race is a maiden race. So is the 3rd race, so is the 1st race. 1, 3, and 6. What do you have?
And so is the 7th. So that's what we have. In fact, we'll go in order and hopefully crescendo this thing right up to the peak, which will be race number 7. But in race number 1, number 7, Speaker of the House, gets a slight edge for me in this race for the Kruljack family. Been knocking at the door, should be good enough to maybe open the door today with the right trip. Number 7, Speaker of the House in race number 1. Number 3 is a maiden turf dash, and Doug O'Neill has the 4-horse Toro Say in this race. I think this is the fastest horse in the race. I think he'll use that speed advantage to go wire to wire in race 3. That's number 4, Toro Say. Race 6 is a very interesting route race on the dirt. And number 5, Taishan, is a horse that caught my eye down there at Del Mar training over the summertime. Richard Baltus has been very patient in developing this horse, I believe, knowing that it was going to be 2 turns where he was going to start to excel. That's what he'll be doing today. I believe number 3, Tis a Magician, will be a hard horse to beat. But Taishan, Tis a Magician, should put on a show in race 6. And as I said, hopefully saving, let's just say hopefully peaking in race 7 with even a stronger winner, number 4, Morning Sin for Doug O'Neill. Again, this horse, Felix, I think holds all the aces in this race. And with that said, what more can you say than that? I think Morning Sin will win race number 7.
Hey, you said you were at the South Point. Our man Zapper was at Met Denny's Ale House on Huntington. Tommy D and Johnny Lowe and I stopped by there after the races on Friday. We watched. What a great, great place. You talk about doing the little things. You know, Zapper did a seminar Friday and Saturday, had 25 to 40 people there early in the morning with this, the start. I was up there promoting what we do. You were promoting what you do. You were promoting the game. Zapper was promoting the game. I'm promoting the game. And I'm angry this morning that we didn't get out of here with all stars because, as I was sharing on the earlier that, I woke up, excuse me, it makes me sneeze. I woke up this morning and I heard, like this newsman on one of the local affiliates, start talking about, the Breeders' Cup, number 37 or 40, about the last race at the Breeders'. And I'm thinking, like, this freaking idiot has no idea what just went down. You know what? Somebody wrote some copy. They picked it up. They had to fill it up there. Yeah, okay. It's a story that we know so well too often. But Zapper, Matt Denny's Ale House, I could hang there. Next time up there, dinner's on me. Or actually, he should pick up dinner for us because I gave him a lot of exposure and promotion yesterday, Zapper. Zapper, are you there? He's probably at the Ale House. Getting ready for he's probably getting ready for his Jets in Miami. You're gonna have to have a lot of drinking. They have got to have a lot of drinking for that. But we had Craig Fravel on this radio program last Sunday, and that was his last official duty of the Breeders' Cup. He is going to be heading Santa Anita, and I had an opportunity to talk with Craig. And what more can you do? I mean, really. I mean, you put your best linen out, you put your best china out, and you have your best suit on, and then all of a sudden somebody crashes the party and creates a brawl and a disturbance, and everybody remembers the party from that point on. And that's not what the case is. Justin McDonald, Senior Vice President of Breeders' Cup, I know he put a lot of effort. Peter Rotondo was out here 2 months before the Breeders' Cup, making sure that everything. NBC's coverage was terrific. Frank Miramati was over the top. I mean, he was over the top. His race calling and the sound system at Santa Anita was as crystal clear and symphonic as you ever had. The crowd, I looked back yesterday. I mean, from end to end, it was filled. It reminded me of the late 70s when I got involved in this game and how that would be an everyday occurrence at Santa Anita on the weekends especially. And, you got back to it. What a statement the horse racing fans made. 41,000 on Friday, 61,000 yesterday. You have any idea what they handled yesterday, Toby?
I didn't get the number, Felix, but I did get the verification that they set another all-time record. So It was big.
Well, it was $55 million on Friday. They beat the Churchill Downs, and the biggest Friday to that date was Delmar. Delmar had, you put good quality out there. You put good quality higher, large fields, and you're going to get those people. You're going to get those people to come out and support. But like I said, I'm proud of what this radio program has done. I thank you, Toby. I thank Tommy D. I thank Wade Taylor and Larry Zapp. I thank, I'm proud to be a part of this industry. I've never wavered. I've always supported this game.
I wish to be called upon because I think I could bring my ideas to enhance this game, and hopefully maybe down the road that we get lined up into a larger audience in regard to hearing what we have to say, because we're a bunch of guys that give a damn. And I'll leave it at that. We're down to about the final 8 seconds. Wade Taylor, thanks for your great work over the weekend for Track Talk live from Santa Anita. Toby Terrell, Larry Zapp, Tommy D, you guys are my triple crown. We'll talk next weekend. Del Mar starts Friday. But on a final note, Breeders' Cup, you aced it. Santa Anita, you aced it. Industry fans, you aced it. It was an aces full house at the Breeders' Cup. Adios.
Have you tried DRF Formulator PPs at DRF.com? Take your handicapping to the next level with premium features not found in DRF Classic PPs, including one-click access to complete race charts, full-screen video replays with both standard and head-on views, add your notes for a card, horse, or trip, and access from any device. View Timeform US pace figures, get customized printing options, and so much more. Try DRF Formulator PPs today at DRF.com/PPs.
Hi, everyone. Felix Taverna for Rough and Ready Moving and Storage. From down the street to across the country, if your move is too tough, you call Rough. That's my man, John Ruff, R-U-F-F, Rough and Ready Moving and Storage. Local or cross-country, military moves, corporate relocations, packaging, storage, they have it all in the Temecula Valley. That's roughandreadymoving.com. That's Rough and Ready, R-U-F-F, and readymoving.com. When you talk about San Diego legends, you got to talk about Big John at Tip Top Meats, a European delicatessen unlike anything in San Diego. You know, it's located in Carlsbad, and traditionally, it's been a fan favorite for many. Big John does it right. With the holiday season just around the corner, it's your best bet. Big John, Tip Top Meats, and top shelf fish. I mean, that's a daily double. You've been there, you know, it's legendary. The most trusted information provider in horse racing is now the leading logic in sports handicapping. The daily racing form has launched DRF Sports. Visit sports.drf.com to learn more and get the edge you need to win big. Access their exclusive database of trends and powerful angles for just $5 per week. And if you use promo code PENNY, you'll get your first week for just 1 cent. Visit sports.drf.com today. Hi, this is Felix Taverna, and I'm here to share with you a great place to begin your day, and that is the Broken Yoke Cafe. 15 San Diego locations to serve you. Downtown, Mission Valley, Bonita, East Lake, San Diego State, Point Loma, Mira Mesa, Del Mar, La Costa, Escondido, Oceanside, San Marcos, and Rancho San Diego. Benedict's, omelets, French toast, crepes, pancakes and waffles, sandwiches, wraps, burgers, soups, and salads. Start your day at the Broken Yoke Cafe.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.